Hey!
Hi everybody, welcome to another Media Molecule stream. We're here over at GDC in San Francisco and we've been showing Dreams off to everyone. And today we're going to get John, who's an artist, you've seen John on the streams before, and Mike, our animator, and we're going to make a little bit of a level and maybe a bit of a cutscene, because Mike's going to show off some puppetry we've got. So without further ado, John's going to start making some stuff. So what John's going to do now is he's going to go into our little collection of things. These could be your own things that you put in there, but this is a little collection we did the other day, we made earlier. And I think John, not that we've rehearsed this, is going to make a cave, I believe.
How did you get
connection
so early?
Just the power of the mind. So John's just going to get this rock and he's going to clone it, he's going to move it around. Any of you guys familiar with Dreams before would have seen this, but for any of you who this is your first time checking out Dreams, you can make things in Dreams, you can scale them, move them around, and you can sort of assemble a scene. And that could be a scene for like a cutscene, like we're intending to do, or maybe for your game, and maybe for a bit of art, because you may want to just take a sort of screenshot. That's looking very nice, John.
Thanks.
Like that. This is a good cave. So John's just used one single rock piece here, and with that single piece he's managed to already sculpt pretty much a whole cave already, well at least the entrance to a cave anyway. Like it. So now what John's doing is he's gone into sculpt mode, and this is where you make things from scratch, brand new. So John's put down a square and now he's cutting out slices of this cube here, and we're going to see what he's going to make with it.
I'm going to make another rock. It's just
Another
more
rock?
yeah, just to show how quick it is
Okay.
actually to make something.
I was going to see how long it would take people to guess, but he's told them already. This is good. So John's using a bit of soft blend there. You can see how it's just blending in and it's smoothing it around a little bit to make it look a bit more natural. So rock isn't completely square, of course. And then John can now just position that around and move it around with any of the other pieces to compose his scene. It's really nice on the fly like that. It's very good.
Again, once more.
Once more. John has done this before, I'd like to point out, so he's pretty good at this.
Cave master.
Cave master.
Rock
I mean, you've done the not just necessarily a cave.
All I can do is rocks.
Yeah,
It's commonly known.
Dwayne Johnson.
we call him the Rock. John the Rock. I almost forgot your second name then.
It's something I've actually never been called, but that's the first time.
Oh dear. So this is going like a cave where perhaps someone could live, maybe. I like it, it's looking like a good cave. And you can see how you can quickly change your mind about things. John was just deleting something there because he wasn't happy with it. He can sculpt something new. He can even go in and change the existing sculpts, which is really nice. He can just dive into them if he wants. And what John's doing now is he's actually softened up a little bit this sculpt. So instead of doing hard like what he's using to make the rocks, he's made it very loose, what we like to call loose, and he's going to use it to perhaps paint some sort of moss or foliage around this cave entrance. So you can just paint straight onto it there, the surface. It's very Bob Ross. And now he's made this little bit of green moss, he can move that around and he can copy and duplicate that just like everything else. It's very nice. That's really good. You can just rescale it to fit it in. John was mirroring it a bit there, he's noticed he flipped it around. And that's just with a gesture control. John's using the moves at the moment. You can use the DualShock to do this. It just works in a slightly different way. There isn't one that's better than the other. They just have pros and cons. The moves are better for some things than the DualShock, and they tend to be the moves tend to be preferred by artists. DualShocks tend to be preferred by designers, and Mike often uses the DualShock, but sometimes the moves aren't, Mike.
Yeah.
So what John did then is he went into our little gadget panel and he's added himself some fog into this level now. And that's to make it look like that sort of cave goes way back into the distance, He's added some real sort of depth in there. And you can use those gadgets, all over the place. You can have fog all around, you can have fog in one specific point, you can use it to make smoke, things like that. And it's fully volumetric, which is really cool. It all picks up the shadows and light.
Let's add some Yes.
Very nice. And again, these are all just made in a tool, so you guys can make your own vines and stuff too. But you can use the sort of pre-made ones we may have made, or maybe someone else in the community has made. Maybe you know someone who's just really good at making trees and foliage, things like that. Or rocks. Yeah. Don't forget the rock makers. And you can see how you can quickly collage a scene. We didn't have a cave there, 5 minutes ago. Now we've already got this great big entrance that looks supernatural. It's really sort of setting the scene now.
So I'm just nerding out on my vines.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, so what we should probably do as well is just play about a little bit with this.
So what John's doing now is he's going into our grade and sun and sky gadgets, and he can just change the sun direction like he has. So he's changed the time of day. He can change the background, the sky image, so we can get different sky images to suit the mood that we're looking for. So John's made it now like sort of sunset.
And then what I might do, that's probably good actually. Let's just pop in here. Grade.
Now John's gone into the grades, and this is like screen effects, right? So you can change like the brightness and the contrast and things like that.
We are in San Francisco.
Yeah, you can. I don't know if you guys could hear that on the stream. We've got a tram going outside, ringing its bell.
Yeah. Well, maybe not. Let's
So one of the nicest things and the biggest bang for bucks really is just sort of playing around with the grades, because it can really change the sort of feeling and vibe of your level. And John spends like a lot of his time actually just getting the grades just right. There's like a real sort of art to finding that perfect grade. Now John's stuck in the light, and you can see it casts dynamic shadows. You can change the colour of it. So John's just using this to accentuate lighting at this point to really make the scene pop.
I think that's pretty good.
Very nice.
Might be a little bit too bright. Let's just.
It's very easy to just change your mind. Just darken it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks
Lovely.
really great.
Save there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So John just quickly saved it, and that just saved it straight to the PS4. Later we could use that to we could upload later on online, or you could go back to the version that you saved. So if you had now gone ahead from this point and decided you didn't like it, you could actually roll back to a version that you did like.
Indeed.
So
Right,
over to
Cool.
Mike. So Mike is going
I'll take the
to.
moose charge.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
I've hidden the bits in the filter. Okay, cool.
Thanks, everyone.
Well, thanks, John.
Thanks,
Maybe see you on another stream.
Yeah.
He is out of here.
More rocks.
And welcome, Abbie.
Hi.
Hi, Abbie.
How's it going, Abbie?
Well, it's good, yeah.
Good. What did you think of what John just did then so far?
It's a beautiful cave. I would say, if John has one skill, it's truly rocks.
Yeah, definitely rocks. yeah. And now we don't need rocks, so he can go. Bye, John.
Bye.
See you later.
Yeah.
So
yours has been geese, his has been rocks.
yeah, his rocks are better than my geese, in all honesty. Yeah, don't Google goose and beans and stuff, because you'll see.
I don't know where we're going with this
You'll see
anymore.
something horrendous.
Okay, so I'm using our strokes tool, but now we've got a lovely sort of stop motion, so we can start doing 2D animation.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start sort of setting out some sort of poses for a butterfly wing flap.
So what Mike has actually done here is he's just placing down single strokes, and he's got a mirror in the middle. You can see the little image there that represents it, and he's made 3 frames for a butterfly.
Yeah.
And so the wings can fly up and
I've
down.
accidentally drawn an extra wing, so I can just
Get rid of that. Ah, cool.
And so if we now come out of that,
Yep.
yeah, totally, and we can start. You can see my little butterfly. It doesn't look like a butterfly at the moment. I want it until it moves. So we can start hit the loop, and we'll hit play.
Great. Oh, there we go. And you can make it flat
And you see
faster
it's-
or slower, right?
Yeah,
Isn't it?
absolutely. Yeah, so you can see it's sort of. I'm not really sure what the numbers mean, but
It's frames per second, I believe.
okay. Well done. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Let's.
Lots of sort of traditional stop motion animation goes at 12 frames per second.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Yeah.
and some go a bit
Shooting
faster.
twos, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's give us some sort of a colour. Maybe
Colour
like
that butterfly.
orange. Orange butterfly. Huh. Maybe give it a little glow.
Oh, glowing butterfly.
John taught me how to do this on Train Jam for birds, like just to make it was like 2 strokes and then 3, and just made like awesome background birds, which you can see in our like Train Jam thing.
So
It's amazingly simple.
It's super simple, yeah. And you could take that further, you know, you could add many more frames of animation and do yourself, pop little 2D sprites and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Mike's used it in a super simple way now, and he's going to bring a bit more life to these butterflies,
Yes.
as well as the flapping wings we need to make them move around the scene.
So I'm just going to sort of pick one of these butterflies and then just start grabbing them and to start sort of flapping them around in our world.
That's pretty cool.
In a nice sort of loop.
Pretty little butterfly. Are you the butterfly guy, Mike?
I'm not the butterfly guy, I don't
We've
know.
all got our strengths, you know. Mine is geese, John is rocks, and Mike is clearly
Animation.
butterflies. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to start animating these butterflies
They look like they're racing each other.
in a circle.
Yeah. Who's gonna win?
Okay. And let's animate one more. Oops, actually let's put it on and hit this animation.
So what Mike did then is he was about to put down a new animation recorder, but what you can do is just add animations into any animation recorder you've already got down. So Mike just clicked on that existing animation recorder and now has added another butterfly.
They all look a bit too similar anyway, so let's just do a little hue rotate on them.
Nice. That's cool.
Maybe pick a colour.
First. Blue.
Panicking.
Green.
Yellow, orange.
Green butterfly. Beautiful. Right, okay, so now let's see what
This
happens.
is way too much pressure.
Wow,
for
that's
us,
the
basically.
most stress I've been under all day.
Beautiful. Look at that. Okay, right. Let's. So that's like a sort of 2D part way of doing animation, and I'll show you how we can do using the.
Awesome. So Mike's just dropping down the moves now because he's going to use the dual shocks, I think. For this section, Mike's
That's
more
okay.
comfortable with the dual shock. Cool. What controller do you prefer, Mike? Do you think like day to day?
I think
I
personally.
think you moved that rock as well in front when you moved the controller down.
Is that?
Yeah, you may have to undo with the.
Okay.
I'll sort it out for you, Mike. It's going off screen here. Don't mind me.
Oh, beautiful. Well done.
Just, some backstage fixing with the old move controllers in.
So that's
Like a pro.
Yeah, so I'd probably, my personal preference for when doing the animation would have to be DualShock, because it's got so many buttons that you can sort of assign keyframes, timelines to, and
Oh, nice.
it's really, and it's got the gyro as well, so it's really nice for adding sort of tilt and really sort of capturing your performance.
Oh, great.
So we've got this character from last week. I'm not sure whether he's ever made an appearance on Twitch stream, but
You're just saving it for you, you know.
oh, okay.
Debut.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
there's been a trailer, so yeah. So we've all seen her before, but we haven't seen her being sort of used in a sort of puppetry
Yeah,
performance. So let's make a little short intro to our scene. So we can sort of put sort of cameras around here. Let's sort of frame that.
And what Mike's doing now at the moment is he's actually looking through the camera, and as he moves his view around it, it just moves the camera around with you. So it's really easy to set up the views you want because it's just what you're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. And because at the moment the imp is normally really good for tracking with the camera, but as we're making a cutscene, we probably wanted to sort of dumb that down a bit.
Yeah. And
0.
maybe we could have black bars.
Yeah,
or
let's
something,
make
you
it
know,
really
add a bit of-
cinematic. Yeah, beautiful.
Mhm.
Okay, so we got, like any sort of camera, we have a nice sort of way of changing its aperture, and then we can change its focal distance.
That's cool. So we can focus just on that
Just
from there. So
really
you can see how we've got
really
things blurry in the
quick.
background and things sharp where land swing is.
And the field of view, we can change the sort of angle of this as well. So let's push it in a bit. So let's say closer to like a 50 mil or something like that, or 35.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah, so we can now sort of just make sure it's all neatly in focus.
Just fine tuning. It's really good.
Cool. Right. Okay. So I'll just show you the sort of the
range.
range of controls you can do with lancing.
And this is just like a puppet made by you, right, Mike?
Absolutely,
so like people
yeah.
could make their own puppets and give them their own range of
Yes.
movements. This is just
Yeah.
what you decided
Yeah.
to add to it, right?
And all our puppets and bipeds all come with a sort of, we sort of default put it on the gyro. So as you can see, when I'm tilting the controller, he's like, she's going, and it's got a really nice sort of immediacy, so you can sort of,
The band of those butterflies.
they're sort of slightly out of shot. Maybe I should move them down a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and within that, I've also sort of assigned sort of key poses. So you can see when I press L1, it's like hands up, and then I can sort of do a little sort of jiggly dance with her. And we'll see. Everyone say hello to Lancewing.
Hello,
Hello,
Lancewing.
Lancewing.
And what's cool about this, we've also hooked it up to a little mic. And so, as you can see, every time I talk,
Also, your name is Mike, so that was.
No, I was
just can't help
waiting.
myself,
I know,
I'm sorry.
I was thinking the mic's hooking up to a mic. Oh my god!
right,
Lancewing finds it very funny.
It's been a long day.
it has been. So, obviously, when John and Abbie are talking, it's also being picked up on the mic. So, she looks a bit crazy.
We won't talk.
Oh, when you're performing. Anyway, so what else have I hooked up? So I've hooked it up so that the R2 is open to mouth, but I won't really need to use that because it's hooked up to the microphone. I've got the eyelids, so you can sort of droop them. Whoa. And it's also got different expressions. So we've got sort of mesh swapping. So when I press that, you've got this sort of scared look. And because it's one-to-one with the DualShock, I can start making Lancewing sort of scared. And so you go, ooh, no. Or we can have it start animating the eyes, sort of looking around, looking really worried. Or just default and just having her looking around.
I believe she's quite suspicious sometimes as well, I've heard.
Exactly, so it wouldn't be. And sad. Something to be sad about Lancewing, so yes. So and also I've set her so that you can sort of crouch. So you sniff the grass. And as you probably noticed, that she's got wings, so we can also make her fly. Ta-da! Right, okay, right.
And what's really cool about this is, as I said earlier, this is just a character that Mike decided to create and did it how you want. But you guys can create your own characters. Your special ability might be to fly, but it might be to sort of run around really fast. It might be, there's like, you can put whatever you want on there, and that's what's really cool about Dreams, is you don't have to do what Mike's done here. You could, of course, when Dreams comes out, Lancewing will be one of the characters that you guys can take and remix. And
yeah, and hopefully, that'd be great. So then people can also make their own sort of animations and things like that.
Yeah, we're really excited.
So let's just say, was it sunset? So
Sunrise, maybe.
sunrise, yeah, it could be. Yeah, right. So let's try and record a performance of hers as sort of waking up from her cave and she's sort of walking out. So what you saw there, I'm clicking on the sort of mic on. So when I start doing a action recorder, it records the puppet and the microphone. So I'll try and do like a sort of yawn and then smelling the grass.
Sounds
Let's
cool.
try that. So try this. Sort of stop. So let's have a look at that recording.
I'm really baby yawn, I'm sorry.
So as you can see inside this sort of timeline, not only is it
got the animation at the top,
Yeah.
it's also got the sound at the bottom, and you can see the waveforms there as well, which is really cool. And I noticed that when Mike first started to record, he started to talk to explain what was going on, and then he realised he was recording an animation. So what's really cool is you could just do another retake if you want to. Do you want to give it another shot? Not that I'm saying it's terrible.
Well, now you said that. Now I have to show. Now I have to say,
thanks,
look at this.
But it's really cool. It's just to show you like how easy it is to just do
Absolutely,
another take.
yeah. So let's do that, and I have to remember to be quiet. Shh.
And Lang's making sure, like sniffing the grass.
Yeah.
That must be some good smelling.
Good, ripe
Really good
grass.
Fresh, like, you know, when you get the lawnmower and it's
Yeah,
like,
that's
you know,
right. Yeah.
That's cool. And you can see it's just synced the voice and the animation all in
Yeah.
one. It's really nice. So you can imagine making like a whole like puppet show, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be great if you start getting new numbers of puppets, and then people would all hook up their own mics and have quite a sort of live puppet show.
Yeah, that would be really
Yeah.
cool.
So let's make that as a sort of one shot. And we all thought, you probably thought, John, that's a very static camera.
I did.
Yeah.
Actually.
Really
I-
worried.
It was.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
worried about that. So let's add a little camera wobble, because it's a trendy thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
If Born Ultimatum uses it, Paul Greengrass uses it, we can use it.
And what's really cool about this is, so Mike has just got a gadget out called the camera shaker.
Oh yeah, okay, let's show
That's what
this
it
sort of
does in the
extreme.
And
Let's take it off.
what's really cool though is he can put it onto the timeline, and you can put other things onto timeline like the music and
Yeah.
stuff and gadgets, and it means that the camera shaker gadget will be working while that animation
Yeah.
is going.
So, John's the sort of king of camera shakes, aren't you? You love a good camera
I
shake.
love a good camera shake. Yeah.
Goose and camera shakes.
Yeah.
And so you can see that it's really good for sort of
Explosions,
Earthquakes.
yeah, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, we are in LA.
We are,
so-
yeah. San Francisco, but close enough, you know.
Oh my god.
it's been a long day. It's all
It
right.
would have been
It's
perfect
all right.
time for the cable car to go by again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we can do with this, and because we can adjust the speed and the sort of shakiness percentage, we can sort of create like a middle ground and create sort of like a sort of handicap, so you can start seeing the screen starting to or a bit,
yeah.
but you probably want a bit more.
Yeah.
More. Yeah. So let's just see that how that plays out. So you can start seeing it slowly
Yeah,
sort of
that's
drifting.
nice. Now, what's also cool is another way, because you know, Dreams has loads of ways of doing things. Is Mike could have quite literally have grabbed the camera and tried to hold it still, and it would have picked up Mike's natural hand
Shaking.
as he's-
It's just
You are shaking that
shaking.
one.
and you know, done it that way. So there's like a few ways you can do things, but the camera shaker is a really nice way of just putting it on and it works.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So cool, yeah. So we look like we got like a nice sort of introduction to a level.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And of course, like at this point, you know, if you could put sound or music and stuff like that onto it. I mean, if we had Ed, our awesome audio designer here, he would absolutely show you that. But he's not here, so we're going to move on, right?
Okay, so as this is sort of puppetry exclusive, we'll sort of show a bit more, dive more into the sort of
Yeah,
puppetry
go for it.
and how we sort of made Lance Wing, I suppose.
Yeah, that's cool. And
Awesome.
perhaps some other puppets maybe.
Yeah, do we want to save this or? Nah, leave it. Leave
And
it.
Make it again tomorrow.
And honestly, that's what's cool about Dreams, is the fact we didn't save it then. It's like, we can make things like so fast in Dreams that you can do
You
stuff.
just
and
casually
then-
throw out your work.
Like it makes you non-precious, which is
Yeah.
really cool, because lots of things you have to invest so much time to make the smallest thing that, of course, even if it's not quite right for you, you don't want to get rid of it because it took so long to get there. But Dreams, you can get there so fast that if it's not quite right, you just go, oh, I'll just try again.
So you probably remember this is our sort of blank biped and our default biped that comes with the game.
Yeah, the cool puppet that's like a sort of, you know, artist mannequin at the moment.
Exactly, and it's all sort of got its secret little gubbins and sort of procedural warp cycle that's sort of built into this biped. So
That sounds cool.
I think a while back actually we probably have shown you sort of some of the.
Let's go for it again. So
Yeah.
this page is a good one to stay on.
Yeah.
So you can see that our puppet is now moving and walking procedurally, and there's all these sliders that have different effects on it. So
Yeah.
one of my favourite ones near the top is sassiness.
Yeah.
I love
lumberingness.
lumberingness.
So as a sort of like
They're good adjectives.
yeah, so as a sort of animator, we want to sort of expose these sort of what would you call parameters to the user. So what you'd normally do if you had a walk cycle running in Maya or anything like that, you go, well, I want to drop these hips or something like that, or make it extra bouncy. So you normally grab your animation curves and increase them. But that we find that's probably too technical. So it's nice to sort of let's make it more friendly. So let's just say a little bounciness, and you can see like it's got a nice sort of jig on.
I like it.
Or you know, what happens if we go the other way? Okay.
Oh, it bounces upwards.
Really happy. So let's go back to our sort of default,
Yeah, yeah.
and we'll show more of the.
Got to do the sassiness.
Yeah, you have
Of course.
to show
I
it.
think
Pretty
we
I love
showed
that
this
the
at-
icon
yeah.
for it is also fire. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Fire!
all right, well, you want to see some
Look
sass,
at that.
so that's obviously
That is
some
a
Yeah, that's-
super bit of sass.
That's an
right
appropriate
there.
amount of sass.
appropriate amount of sass. Okay.
Absolutely.
And with that, you can also add sway. You probably won't see it so much, but you can see it sort of.
The arm figure is pretty good as well
Yeah.
to show you can make the arms much more vigorous as the
or lumberingness. So you've got this sort of. So if you had a sort of weighty sort of character, that's sort of just likes to jiggle around. Okay, let's just turn them all up to 11. No, we won't. Actually, no, we'll keep it.
just do one at a time.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you can see the effects there.
And the stiffness is actually affects the sort of back stiffness.
Yeah, yeah, sort of
So
spines.
if you made like a very rigid body, like a banana character or something like that, you
Micros
would probably
making
want
banana
to increase, max out the stiffness, back stiffness, and
Arm
arm
bigger?
bigger.
Yeah.
So you can see it's sort of really
marching along. It's like I'm on a mission to get somewhere.
Exactly, and why not add some springiness? So because you can.
Oh my god, it's wacky inflatable inflating arm tube guy.
Yes, that is.
That's amazing.
So,
It's
How have
that
we not
person
made one of those
that,
yet?
that person has had a really bad day and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be here anymore. That's exactly what's going
It's
on.
exactly what.
Yeah.
It's exactly what that looks like.
And also, so before you shut down the menu on that, Michael,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
if you just go to the first page.
oh yes, of course.
On
yeah.
here, there's all the things for you guys, out there who like making gameplay. You can adjust all the sort of parameters that actually have an effect, like the walk speed, the run speed, the acceleration, how high you can jump, how high you can double jump, whether your feet skid on the ground, all these kind of things. So you
And
can
all
really
these are sort of
customise the
previewed,
character.
as you can see.
Yeah,
I like that.
that's really nice.
And,
Like the jump height's a good one to preview,
Yeah.
so you get to see it jumping as well. There you go. So you can see how high you can
and
make
if
your
I just
character. And now it's
go out of the stratosphere,
leaps a building in a single bound.
Yeah.
I mean,
And,
it's really
back.
good. So, and of course, you can change these at real time, so you don't have to necessarily set them on the character. You can imagine that during gameplay, you pick up a power boost, and that lets you to jump higher.
Yeah.
So during gameplay, you can actually send a signal into this to increase your height.
Yeah.
Mid gameplay.
So I think we got too much springiness, so let's just sort of reduce that back. We'll keep the sass, as I know John likes the
I
sass.
love it.
Love a bit of sass.
Love a bit of sass.
So we'll show you sort of the sort of basics of if we want to start keyframing this character and sort of how did Lancing pose, how did it wave, and do all those sort of things. So I tunnel in once, and this is where we sort of generally sort of pose our character. So you could actually just start off by, so let's just drop the hips, and as it's sort of procedurally driven,
We do it like a T-pose, we
could
were
do it.
doing it.
So we've got this sort of comedy T-pose.
Now you're down on the ground. That seems like a very uncomfortable way to walk, to be honest.
Exactly.
You're starting to look like your goose.
Yeah, oh no, please, not the goose. Oh god.
And also, if let's do a little hop. And as it's all sort of procedurally driven, it knows, hey, my foot's off the ground. And when your foot's off the ground, you normally try and balance.
Oh yeah,
so
just
the
think,
stickers
that's
as well.
really nice.
Cool.
That's cool.
So that's sort of balancing.
Yeah.
And then actually, we can actually preview this as well. So let's preview this. So and also let's sort of do a little run around. Woo.
I think you'd need to put more bounciness to make it look like
Absolutely.
it's like
Yeah, I
as
would
well.
definitely
right?
think it's more
So
bounciness.
And that's on page. Oh, so the lower body, of course.
Woohoo.
And let's see
There
what
you
happens
go,
if
yeah.
you spring this.
Oh no! Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I like
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
That is good. That is like doing the body pop going on right now. It's great.
So that's our sort of, our really sort of nice sort of fun way of sort of immediacy of just sort of creating a sort of character that you can sort of quite easily sort of mess around with. And
I
again,
desperately want you to make a character that can pop and lock, you know?
Yeah.
nicely demonstrated there, John.
Thanks.
Yeah. I mean,
Glad that you did because I didn't know what it meant.
You could do bend.
Yeah,
If you wanted to. You know?
yeah.
Okay, so I've just undone it back to its sort of original pose, and I'll go back to the thing that I was going to demonstrate about adding sort of keyframes and key poses. So we've always had this keyframe there that you can add, and I'll just slowly sort of start adding a little pose.
And you'll notice when Mike put the keyframe down, it's very much like when you put the motion recorder down. A little record symbol comes up, and it means that Mike can record a position of something.
Yeah.
So in this case, he's recording the position of the hand and arm up in the air.
Hello.
That's cool. And Mike can preview that by just pressing X on the
Yep, so
keyframe
you can
over here, so you
and-
can just see if it's what you want, and you can even change it, adjust it.
Absolutely, and you can see that's highlighted as well, as saying to say, hey, this keyframe is affecting that hand. Oh, sorry. So we've got a little controller sensor, and we can assign it to a button. So you know, I've got L2, R2, L1, R1. So L, let's represent that for its left hand.
So Mike can just grab a Y here
All right.
from L1. Was it L1?
No, L2. Sorry, so I got
That's
it from
okay.
L2.
That's good. Yeah,
That's
L2.
absolutely okay. And so now, if I possess this character, we can. Should we do it
You
in
can just go into
edit?
play mode. You can just go into play mode.
Edit play mode. Okay, let's
You
do
can
it.
just see the
So when I possess,
Hi.
it's very
It's a bit
immediate.
fast, though.
Yeah, it's a bit fast. Isn't it? Yes. So let's sort of chill that out a bit. And here you can see that these are our sort of smoothing.
So
into that
this is
keyframe.
the tweak menu for the keyframe.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I went there too quickly. So this is like how many seconds it is to go into that pose. And at the moment, I probably don't want it too long, so I just want it sort of just to smooth out that action. And so, and when it comes down, when it returns back to neutral,
See what
let's
that
see
looks
what that looks like. So let's hit play mode. So we'll hit this.
Ah, it's much slower. That's cool.
At the moment, sort of that just seems still really rigid at the
It's
moment.
quite stiff, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's like-
Yeah. So we can loosen that up by adding a bit of wobble. In sort of animation terms, this is our sort of overshoot. So we want to go past the pose and then return. And so we can then sort of have a bit of that. So when you see, oh hello hand.
It's a bit like the sort of royal wave.
Exactly, yeah.
Hello, yes. Fabulous.
And so that's how we sort of start building upon, and that's like a little short way
So
of
that's a
sort
bit
of-
like how you would have done with Lancewing, right?
Yeah,
That's-
absolutely,
You would have
yeah.
basically have done this, but you know, on various different parts and different
that you
poses.
still got the sass.
Super sass. You should
Yeah.
walk around with your arm in the air.
Yeah, let's
Oh,
try
yeah.
it. What happens? Hello, everyone. Hello.
He's very excited.
Yes. And what's amazing is that was all built by just sort of having one key pose and setting a few sort of parameters.
Yeah, brilliant. That's really
And,
It's really cool.
and not only does the keyframe sort of affect the puppet, you can also affect lots of things. So in this particular case, when I made this jump animation,
Yeah.
let's change jump. I've got the keys also affecting the gravity. So when I've got this sort of launch pose, I want it to be.
And when you say gravity, what do you mean by gravity in this case then? Like, 'cause it's not like the gravity of the whole world, is
No,
it?
so it's gravity affecting the puppet, is that
Right,
right?
yeah.
And so the higher the number, the stronger the gravity is,
Mhm.
and the lower the number, it means there's no gravity.
Yeah.
So I can start making sort of jumps with sort of hang time. So let's just say that one. Let's give it extra hang time. So let's say when I edit this keyframe, my hang time, I can start reducing this gravity. So we can then start. So let's just see what that looks like. So you can now start seeing that he hangs up in the air.
Yeah.
Then the faster sort of drops. So it's a sort of very nice sort of
Cool. And you could have
cartoony
used,
drop.
yeah, you could have used those keyframes to do other things as well, right? I
Yes.
mean, it was just you decided that hang time would be a cool thing.
Yes,
to,
exactly,
to
yeah.
put in there, yeah.
Yeah. So now our sort of cats are running around. He can jump
Jumping
with his hang time.
That's a really good hang time. I wish I could do that.
Yes.
Ooh,
Slam.
Matrix style.
Yeah.
That's really cool. But I mean, it makes it look really sort of cartoony and gamey.
Yes,
doesn't it?
absolutely,
I really
yeah.
like that.
So from this sort of base puppet, you can sort of reproportion it, sculpt on it, and things like that.
Maybe you should just show a tiny bit of reproportioning as well, like just a tiny
Oh,
bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Maybe just
Okay.
like the arms.
Yeah,
or
okay,
the
sure
head
thing.
or something like that.
Okay, so let's have a look.
So Mike's just going to go here into the stretch tool.
Stretch tool. Oh, can I
And
get? Yeah.
And
And
he's
then-
just gonna, he can just grab the arms, you know, stretch them around, and
I mean, this
You
is
know,
always
you know.
the one that sort of.
yeah. So I mean, I think that's good. Walk around
Yeah,
like
that
that
looks
now.
great,
And let's just,
Yeah. Okay, that looks great.
That looks
Brilliant.
great.
Okay.
So you can see how you can make your own characters. You know, that could be.
And all the animation still works because it's all driven
Making
by the
Slender Man,
Yes,
thank you. It's
yeah.
really gonna
So, yeah.
sleep well tonight, you guys.
And you know, now it's the perfect height to see its hand.
yeah. Oh, there's my hand. That's
Hi,
what
hand.
it looks like.
Ah, okay, brilliant.
So you can see how you can use that to make your own characters and proportions. And
Yeah.
you know, the way you saw John sculpting the rocks earlier, you can use that to sculpt those parts of the biped.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or even add bits and stick to it
Yeah.
to make them look like you want. So you can make your puppets really sort of come to life in
Yeah.
the style that you want.
So we'll show you a bit more of the. So even though from out of this sort of our base biped, we can even have things like this little character here called LED. That's part of our action theme.
Mm-hmm.
So managed to put sort of twin stick controls because we can in our puppet. So given it's like a broad range of controls.
Yeah. So right stick points where you want to look right this
Exactly,
time instead of
yeah.
turning the camera
Yeah.
around. And that's really cool. And you've got little skatey wheels I see
Yeah.
as well.
And this one's sort of built on with help of designers as well. So we're using all the gadget tools, so that motion sensors. So if I'm going forward, then let's rotate the wheels. And when I'm sort of standing still, go into like a little cool pose. And again, I've got these L1, R1 hooked up onto the ears, so I can sort of go, hello.
That's so cute.
And I go. And what's cool is that in our game we've sort of got a broad range of sort of animation, so we can start doing stop motion as well. So I'll show you the sort of little secret gubbins. So if I gently press this thing, you can start seeing all the little frame.
Awesome.
So when it's played back properly, it's like a sort of pengu. And mixing sort of animation and sort of full-on logic,
Yeah.
you can start
Yeah.
interacting with objects as well. So it's like, and then
Boom.
suck that up.
Oh. Great.
Again, this is sort of thing, and so you can hook it up with more expressions. So you do like the shop, making the sort of bin lid open. Bin lid. Sorry,
Just throw some trash and LEDs.
like, yeah.
Sorry.
And then it's looking a bit sad. And then let's make him super sad.
Oh, no.
All is lost.
Poor LED.
No, it's not really.
And let's end this stream on a real downer.
Yeah, no.
And that's a wrap.
And no.
And you can also do sort of, I made it so that if I press square, I've got, oh, by the way, I've got triangles on the lookout.
Using all the buttons.
Yeah, so triangle to look, and then if I press square and triangle, and it's gone to sleep.
Oh, little Z's come
So
up.
over like
And what's really cool, those Z's are done using text gadget inside, right? So you can write in text, you can put it into the world, or you can put it to appear on the screen like a subtitle, or things like that.
Absolutely. So that's sort of our LED. Let's have a look at the cinema guy. This is a puppet that was rigged up by another animator called Francis Pang.
Who's your brother?
Who's my brother?
Right?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got a family business going. Animation. So,
who's the better animator out of you two?
Francis.
Oh, that's so nice of you to say.
really
Right, if Francis ever does a Twitch stream, you ask him
better-
the same way.
He's gonna be like Francis.
Yeah.
Oh, ew.
Yeah. So we got again with the sort of gyros, and so that looks around and stuff. He seems like he's a bit frustrated with his job. He's a bit bored. No one's ever coming by. And he's always he's got a little comedy bow tie that he can sort of
That's
spin
what
around.
everybody needs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
Why don't we have those?
I don't know.
Anyway, likes to keep its desk clean. Oh, there should have been a popcorn there, but it's not there. So it just cleans his desk.
I like that he looks so tough but has a comedy bow tie.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. You don't want to mess
good.
with it.
She's
She's like,
Oh.
I hate my job.
I hate my job.
I hate
Oh,
it.
God. What did the molecules do in the stream? They just made puppets sad.
Make him happy, Mike. Make him happy.
Yeah.
He's like,
Please.
yeah.
Well, there we go. That's
Yeah,
pretty
well,
happy. That's a
I mean,
pretty
we're
jolly
happy
bow tie,
now,
isn't
so.
it?
Okay.
I mean, should we even show this guy?
I worry about the rest of our puppets, in all honesty, but let's keep going.
We get a real sad phase and then oh God.
Well, no.
This guy looks really sad as well.
He's not really sad. He's quite happy. Look.
Okay,
He's
okay.
he's not bothered by these flies. He's sort of.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
Sort of, he's
I'll
just
get rid
kind
of
of. Those flies aren't sad though. They're sticking around even though he's trying to.
10 minutes.
Okay. Right, Costa.
Costa says we have 10 minutes left.
You've got a little bit of an itch. And it's nice because what's so great about sort of just doing it, you can sort of get so much life out of it. So you sort of, him sort of sleeping.
Who there?
Who said that?
Oh, nice ear trumpet.
Not sure you heard anything. Back to sleep you go.
Oh, lovely.
And who's this? It's Lancewing. Oh no, she's stuck in a cage.
Oh no!
Oh, yeah, hang on a minute. These puppets.
It's getting darker.
No, so in the middle, in our game, in the story, she gets captured. Will I say that? Too late now. Anyway, so she,
I mean,
Lancewing.
maybe someone would have figured that out from.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, so
No,
she's,
we have. It's in the chat. We're
okay.
good. No spoilers.
Okay, so if we got her in a sort of worried pose, and then shot. So we had the last one before we showed you. She was sort of alive and free from the cage, so she had sort of different poses that was on the button pressing. So on this one, I've kind of assigned it to square to be open mouth. I've got the R1 to say do the shape of the cage. So she's sort of really sort of getting that sort of panicked look in her. So she's sort of going help. Again, using the giant help. Lancewing.
That's very cool, Mike.
Yeah, so that's our.
That's our sort of puppeteering, you know,
Puppeteering,
and
yeah.
that's how we sort of do our animation and our cutscenes. And
Yeah,
everything.
exactly, absolutely.
And how you make your own characters.
So cool.
And so on that.
On that note, I think it's yeah. I think
Bye-bye.
that's it. Bye, everybody. Thanks
Bye,
for
everybody.
tuning in.
Thanks for watching.
Bye. Thanks for watching.
Bye.